She was just a regular pilot flying business people across the country. Nobody suspected anything. But when an emergency struck and F-22 fighter jet scrambled into the sky, the military pilots heard her call sign on the radio, and the entire frequency went silent. Her call sign was Eagle 1. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The morning was quiet at Denver International Airport. Sarah Cole walked slowly around the small business jet, checking every part of it with careful eyes. She was 36 years old. She wore a simple pilot uniform with the logo of Rocky Mountain Air Services on her chest. Her movements were calm and steady. Nothing about her looked special. She was just a pilot. That is what everyone thought. Her co-pilot, a young man named Tyler Brooks, greeted her with a big smile. Tyler was 25. He had been flying for 2 years. He liked working with Sarah because she was always calm and never made flying feel difficult or scary. "Good morning, Captain Cole," he said. "Good morning, Tyler," she replied simply. Their passengers that day were 2 businessmen flying to Salt Lake City. They barely looked at Sarah. They sat in their leather seats and opened their laptops before the plane even started moving. Sarah completed her checks, started the engines, and spoke to the control tower. Her voice was smooth and professional. Everything was normal. The jet lifted off the runway at exactly 8:14 in the morning. Sarah climbed to 35,000 feet, turned on the autopilot, and settled in for a routine flight. The sky was clear. The mountains below were covered in white snow. Everything was peaceful. Sarah watched her instruments quietly. This was the life she had chosen 5 years ago. A quiet life. An ordinary life. Nobody asked questions. Nobody looked too closely. She was just Captain Cole, reliable, professional, always on time. She had built this life very carefully. She intended to keep it exactly this way. But 20 minutes into the flight, everything changed. The radio crackled. A controller at Denver Center spoke in a tense voice to all aircraft in the area. "All aircraft, be advised. There is an unidentified aircraft in restricted military airspace near the Rocky Mountain Defense Zone. The aircraft is not responding to radio calls. All aircraft, please be aware." Sarah's eyes moved to her instruments. Her hands stayed perfectly still on the controls. Tyler looked at her. "That sounds serious." "Yes," she said quietly. "It does." More transmissions followed. The unknown aircraft was a small twin-engine plane. It had no flight plan. It was flying in an erratic, unstable pattern. It was not responding to any radio calls. And it was heading toward the Denver area. The military had scrambled 2 F-22 Raptor fighter jets to intercept. When Sarah heard the word F-22, something moved inside her chest. A feeling she had buried 5 years ago. The F-22 Raptor. The most advanced fighter jet in the world. She knew that aircraft in a way that very few people on Earth did. She said nothing. She kept her face neutral and her hands steady. The radio crackled again. One of the F-22 pilots spoke. His call sign was Raptor 7. His voice was sharp and professional. "Denver Center, Raptor 7. We have visual on the unidentified aircraft. It is a small twin-engine plane. The pilot appears to be unresponsive. The aircraft is on autopilot but flying unstably. Estimated time to populated areas, 8 minutes. Tyler turned to Sarah with wide eyes. 8 minutes? That's almost downtown Denver. Sarah said nothing. She was listening carefully. Her mind was working fast, faster than Tyler could imagine. Then came the moment that changed everything. Denver Center was checking all aircraft in the area. The controller read out positions and identifications one by one. When he reached Sarah's jet, he gave her name from the filed flight plan. Rocky Mountain Air, November 442 Alpha. Pilot name, Sarah Cole. A long pause followed on the military frequency. Then a different voice came on. It was Raptor 8, the second F-22. The voice was slow, almost disbelieving. Denver Center. Raptor 8. Please confirm that last pilot identification. The controller repeated it. Confirmed. Pilot is Sarah Cole. Another pause. Then Raptor 8 spoke again, and this time his voice carried something very unusual for a military pilot. Shock. Denver Center, all stations, be advised. If that is the Sarah Cole I am thinking of, you have Eagle 1 in your airspace. The radio went quiet for 3 full seconds. Then Raptor 7 came back. Eagle 1. Are you serious? Eagle 1 is flying a corporate jet. Tyler slowly turned his head toward Sarah. His mouth was open. What are they talking about? Sarah closed her eyes for 1 second. Just 1 second. Then she opened them. 5 years of quiet civilian life. Gone in 30 words on a radio. She pressed her microphone button. When she spoke, her voice was completely different. It was not the calm, pleasant voice of a corporate pilot. It was something harder. Something commanding. Something that made Tyler sit up straight without knowing why. Raptor Flight, this is Eagle 1. Stand down the conversation and focus on your mission. You have an uncontrolled aircraft heading toward people. Handle it. Complete silence on the frequency. Then Raptor 7 responded. His voice was now fully focused. Eagle 1, copy that. Ma'am, we have a problem. The pilot of the target aircraft is unconscious. The plane is slowly losing altitude and turning toward the city. We have authorization for defensive action but command wants alternatives. Sarah's mind switched completely. The years of corporate flying fell away. What came back was something much older. Much sharper. Raptor 7, give me the target aircraft's exact speed, altitude, and heading. Give me your current positions relative to the target. Now. The information came back in seconds. Sarah processed it all at once. Speed. Altitude. Distance to the city. Wind direction. The F-22's thrust capability. The size and weight of the small plane. She had a plan in 45 seconds. Listen carefully, she said. Both of you. I am going to talk you through a maneuver. It has never been done in real conditions, but I have practiced it in simulation many times. You are going to use your jet's position and speed to create pressure waves, invisible walls of air, that will push the target aircraft off its current path and toward open land. You will not touch the aircraft. You will move the air around it. Raptor 7 responded carefully. Eagle 1, that is an experimental technique. Our computers show less than 35% success probability. Your computers don't have my experience, Sarah said simply. Do exactly what I tell you. No changes. No improvisation. Understood? A brief pause. Then, understood, ma'am. Tyler was staring at Sarah. He looked like a man who had just discovered that his quiet next-door neighbor was actually a superhero. He said nothing. He did not dare. Sarah began giving instructions. She directed Raptor 7 to move ahead of the target aircraft, slightly above it. She gave exact numbers, speed, altitude, angle. Then she told Raptor 8 to position on the other side of the target, slightly behind. Again, exact numbers. Raptor 7, on my mark, reduce throttle to 72% and bring your nose up 2.5 degrees. Hold for exactly 2 seconds. The pressure wave from your aircraft will push down on the target's left wing and begin turning it. Raptor 8, 5 seconds after Raptor 7, you will do the same from the opposite side. The two waves together will act like invisible hands and push the target away from the city. Both pilots acknowledged. Sarah counted down. Mark. Raptor 7 executed the maneuver. For 3 terrible seconds, nothing happened. Then Raptor 7's voice came back, quiet with disbelief. Eagle 1, the target is turning. It's actually turning. Heading is shifting away from the city. Good, Sarah said. Raptor 8, now. The second maneuver executed. The small plane's heading shifted further. It was now pointing toward open, empty land south of the city. Fields. No people. No buildings. Sarah then walked both pilots through 3 more smaller adjustments over the next 4 minutes. Each one was precise. Each one worked. The target aircraft slowly descended, still unstable, but now aimed at a large open field. It hit the ground hard, but survivably. Emergency teams reached the crash site in 6 minutes. The pilot inside, a 58-year-old man flying alone, had suffered a medical emergency in the air. He was taken to hospital. He survived. Raptor 7's voice came back on the radio. For a trained military pilot, his voice was remarkably emotional. Eagle 1. I have been flying F-22s for 6 years. I have never seen anything like what you just did. You flew that aircraft without being in it. Sarah was quiet for a moment. You did the hard part, she said. You trusted the math and executed perfectly. Good work, Raptor Flight. Denver Center's controller spoke next. His voice was careful, almost uncertain. Rocky Mountain Air, November 442 Alpha, can I ask, are you former military? Sarah looked out the window at the blue sky. Yes, she said. Former Air Force. Raptor 8 came back immediately. He could not help himself. He began explaining to the entire frequency what Eagle 1 meant. That Sarah Cole had been one of the first female F-22 pilots in the United States Air Force. That she had flown classified missions in locations that still could not be named. That she had developed tactics still used by F-22 pilots today. That she had been called the most naturally gifted fighter pilot her wing commander had ever seen. The frequency erupted. Commercial pilots expressed disbelief. Controllers went quiet. Military pilots up and down the system began talking. Tyler was still staring at Sarah. You flew F-22s, he finally said. It was not really a question. Yes. And you never told anyone? No. He shook his head slowly. Why? Why give that up to fly corporate jets? Sarah watched the mountains pass slowly below them. She thought for a moment before answering. Because Eagle 1 was consuming me, she said quietly. The missions. The pressure. The life. There was nothing left of Sarah Cole, just the call sign. I needed to find out if I still existed without it. Tyler said nothing. There was nothing to say. They landed in Salt Lake City without any more drama. Sarah's aircraft was smooth and precise on final approach. Her landing was perfect, the kind of landing that only makes sense now that you know who she really is. Her phone began filling with messages before she even turned off the engines. Former squadron members. Military affairs officers. Aviation journalists. She ignored all of them. When she landed back in Denver that evening, there was a military vehicle waiting beside the runway. A colonel in full uniform stepped out. He stood straight and spoke with respect. Captain Cole. Or rather, Major Cole. The Air Force wants you back. The F-22 community wants you back. We are offering you a position as lead instructor at the Fighter Weapons School. You would shape the next generation of pilots. Sarah looked at him calmly. Sir, she said, I left 5 years ago for good reasons. What happened today was an emergency. It was not an invitation. The colonel nodded slowly. I understand. But consider this, you just saved a man's life and protected a city using only your voice and your knowledge. Imagine what you could do if you came back, even part-time, to teach others. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Part-time, she said finally. A contractor arrangement. I keep my civilian flying. We can work with that. She nodded once. Then I will think about it. She did more than think about it. Over the following months, Sarah agreed to a quarterly instruction program at the fighter weapons school. She would come in for 2 weeks every 3 months. She would teach advanced tactics to small groups of elite F-22 pilots. Then she would return to her regular flying. It was not the life she had planned. But it was, she slowly realized, the life that fit her. The young pilots she taught were hungry. They absorbed everything she gave them. And Sarah found something she had not expected, she loved teaching. She loved passing on what she had learned in years of pushing herself and her aircraft to the limit. She was still Eagle One. But she was also Sarah Cole, the corporate pilot, the instructor, the woman who had chosen to disappear and then chosen to come back on her own terms. Both were real. Both were her. The day the F-22 pilots heard her call sign on the radio, she had thought her quiet life was ending. But time showed her something different. That moment had not broken her life apart. It had finally made it whole. In F-22 ready rooms across America, young pilots now hear the name Eagle One during their very first briefings. They study the maneuvers she created. They watch recordings of her instruction sessions. They talk about the day she guided 2 Raptors from a corporate jet and saved a man's life without touching the controls. And the most important part of her legend, the part they talk about the most, is not the classified missions or the aerial victories. It is the courage it took to walk away at the top. And the wisdom to know when to come back.